Okay, we're going to go. I'm going to do a roll call real quick. If you don't hear your name, speak up and let us know. I've got Kevin, Terry, Tiffany, Eva, Michelle, Lynette, Jeanette, Tiana, Cassandra, Connie, Frank, Danya, Tina, Elizabeth, Jacqueline. Am I missing anybody? Okay, cool. All right, we're going to get started. You keep an eye and see if you see any in the waiting room people. We can add them in. Okay. Good morning. Thank you, everybody, for coming and joining us. What we had started a couple months ago and what we had talked about is getting back to the basics of what we are and what we do. After COVID, we're trying to kind of regroup and make sure everybody's on the same page. We have contracted with a nurse that's going to be doing some nursing for our SLS program, but I've also asked her to do some training for our ILS program to be able to keep you guys up to date on any medication issues or kind of how to handle medical issues. So I'm going to introduce Roberta, and she is our LVN that's going to be out and about. She's a good resource for any medication questions or any medical issue questions. So her training is only going to last a short while. And just some of you guys, this is really repeat stuff. Some of you, it's not. So listen, and if you have any questions, you'll have time at the end to ask her. So for now, I'm going to turn it over to Roberta.
Hi, good morning. So today we'll basically be going over taking your clients to the doctor or dentist or any appointments they may have. So before and after the appointments, the case manager does need to be notified of the appointment.
I'm sorry, can you interrupt you?
Sure, excuse me.
Are you going over, I've asked this before, are you going to go over like what to do with the medication?
You know, briefly,
Okay,
I do.
That's really my question.
Okay, yeah, okay. So the case manager knows where the client is going today, that day of the appointment. Let him or her know before he or she goes and after. What you'll take to the appointment is either a current list of the client's medications or the actual medication containers. And make sure the list or the containers include the prescribing doctor. That way, a doctor at the current appointment is aware of what the other doctors are prescribing, should they need to know anything or any information, or so they know what, if they have any medication changes to make or new meds to add, that it's not going to interact with something else another doctor has prescribed. So when you go also, you'll be taking a alternative ways medical dental progress note. I'm sure you're all familiar with that form. It's better if the doctor would fill it out and sign it, but a lot of times, because they're very busy and whatnot, you can also fill it out. Just make sure everything is accurate on the form. And also, when the doctor does make a change or adds a new medication, or has any changes in the client's diet or anything whatsoever, make sure you can repeat it back to him and for accuracy. If the client is a diabetic, make sure that their current A1C is on here, even if he orders a follow-up, and make sure that on the form it's documented when he wants the A1Cs, every 3 months, every 6 months, or what have you. And be specific for that. Ask any specific for instructions. For example, if the doctor orders labs or x-rays, make sure the instructions are clear, such as if the client is to fast or have nothing by mouth, no foods or fluids, 8 or 12 hours prior to the test or exam or x-ray. And if the client can take medications with a sip of water, a lot of times the doctor will okay that, as well as the fasting. Sometimes they'd want them totally with nothing. If the doctor changes or orders a specific diet for the client, he may order a diet consult unless he makes changes in the current diet, or if it's a new diet, he may even go ahead and order the consult. At the appointment, make sure that you get any copies of any labs, x-rays, any results for diagnostic testing that the client has had, and that can go in their book. And update the doctor if there's been any changes other doctors may have that have been made by other doctors or prescribed, so there aren't any duplications. For medication changes or discontinuance or new medication orders, make sure the prescription is clear and that you understand what the doctor is prescribing, written on the progress note. Notify the case manager as soon as you can of the medication change. Regardless of how the order gets to the pharmacy, you'll call the pharmacy to make sure it was received and confirm it. If it's a new medication or that a certain med was discontinued, and ask when it will be ready, especially if it's an antibiotic or a pain medication that needs to be filled as soon as possible. That way the client can get started on the antibiotic and they're not suffering in pain, so they can get that started also. Make sure that especially if it's a new medication, that you're getting a side effect sheet from the pharmacy. That will also go in the client's book or binder. Prior to leaving the appointment, make sure to get the office's visit summary. It should include the vital signs that were taken at the appointment that day, any follow-up appointments and time if an appointment is needed. It should include weights, any new diagnoses or instructions. So make sure if a client has been prescribed a new medication, the side effect sheet is included with the medication, and the case manager is going to update the staff of any of those changes and side effects to watch for. Make sure that the new medication, the label matches the order that the doctor has prescribed, and the client may not be able to do this, so you can always do that and help the client with that. So also, regarding the documentation that you'll be getting at the doctor's appointment, as well as the progress note, you might want to keep them in a folder to protect the privacy, because you never know if you're going to be standing in line somewhere with other people that might see the documentation for your client. So get a manila folder or something to keep the client's paperwork in when going and coming from the appointment. And it's always a good idea regarding infection control to make sure that you have some sanitizer with you, or have the client and yourself wash your hands before leaving the doctor's appointment. So are there any questions? Nothing? Okay, So I guess that covers everything unless you have any questions. Okay.
I have a question about distributing the medication to the client.
Sure.
Is there like any tips you can give us for that?
So are you talking about actually handing the client their medication, or what do you kind of elaborate on that?
Well, one of the clients, they take a few different medications and we use a pill organizer.
Okay.
And that's been helpful for us. I just don't know if that's like a good way to go about it. And then also, if the client is not taking their meds as prescribed, what should we do in that sort of situation?
So the pill box or the organizer is a great idea. This is for ILS or SLS?
I'm both ILS and SLS.
Okay. So yeah, but they're two different groups of clients. So as far as the pill box, you're giving the medication, you're handing it to the client for SLS. For ILS, they're pretty much on their own to take their medication. You just make sure that when you're involved with their medication, that it's the correct one that the doctor has prescribed that day. When you're in the appointment, also, I need to add that too, is when you're in the appointment with the resident or the client, you may wait in the waiting room. You might go into the actual office with the doctor. I advise to go in the actual room with the client and the doctor and get the client's permission first, if you can go in. But with the medication for SLS, you are handing it to the client. You're not actually giving it to them. And then the second question, what was that again? Sorry.
If a client is taking, for example, if a client is taking stool softeners more than they should, like what's a good way to go about that? If they're still going against your suggestion to not take it as often and they're still doing it because mom says so, then, like what should you do in that sort of situation?
That would have to go to the case manager. I would notify them immediately, because overuse of a stool softener, any medication like that could cause dehydration. It could cause valve problems. Yeah, I would go to the case manager with that information, and then they can carry it forward from there.
Okay.
Are you guys doing a lot of, this is Cindy, I'm right here. Are you guys doing a lot of filling for clients?
I can't hear.
Cindy, you're gonna have to come in front because we can't hear you.
Sorry. Are you guys doing a lot of pill tray filling with your clients? Do you have a lot of clients that you help them fill their pill bottles or pill trays?
I have one client that we do it weekly. They have a weekly pill organizer and they take both AM and PM meds.
Okay.
So we usually do it on the same day every week.
Okay. And basically, how do you do that? How are you doing that with your client?
For the AM meds, we have them in a big Ziploc bag and it's labeled AM meds. And then for the PM meds, we have it in a big Ziploc bag labeled PM meds. And then we just refill it and I check it to make sure everything is.
So are you doing that for them, or is the client actually doing those and you're just observing?
They're doing it. I'm just making sure they're not adding, extra.
Perfect. Anybody else? And that's absolutely the way it should be. Your client, should be sitting right here with you if they need assistance, and having the pill tray in front of you, and you guys are monitoring how many pills. Okay, one in the morning, one in the evening, whatever it may be. Because like Roberta said, we don't pass medication. We're not licensed to pass medication. Our obligation as far as medication is to make sure that that client has the medication available to be able to take. That's it. We make sure they have refills. We make sure that, the medication is available. I missed part of it. So I just want to make sure that Roberta touched base on if there was a new medication started what the ILS should be doing for new medication as far as follow up with the clients and stuff. Do you guys talk about any of that? Yeah. So make sure that you guys follow up if a client's starting a new medication, like within 24 hours, because things can happen within 24 hours. And when you start a new medication with your client, you want to make sure that the client knows what they're taking and what side effects that they need to be watching out for, whether it be a rash, whether it be, dizziness or nausea or vomiting or any of that, those side effects that could occur. I had an instance where I had a client that started a new medication on Friday, and the staff did their due diligence. They sat down with the client, said, hey, you're starting this medication, and these are the side effects. So weekend went, nobody touched base with that client. Come Monday morning, he actually had an IDT meeting. So he shows up at this IDT meeting from head to toe covered in a bright red rash. So we said, okay, Joe Blow, how come you didn't let somebody know? And he says, well, you told me I might get a rash. But what we didn't tell him was to let your ILS worker know if you got a rash. So technically, you probably should have stopped that medication 2 days ago. But if we don't know that the client's having these kind of side effects, we can't advise them in what to do. So it's really important if you have a client that's starting a new medication that you do some follow-up with them, so that we make sure that they don't have any side effects. And if they do have side effects, what the procedure is, us letting the doctor know or letting your case manager know for sure as soon as possible. So do you guys have any other questions? Nothing? Everything's cool out there? Y'all know what you're doing out there for ILS. You know what information you need to take to the doctors with you. You know the template. Did you talk about the template a little bit? Okay, we just got word that that template is going to be in our new system. So you'll actually be able to write on that template instead of, using it as a template and writing the information down in our new system. It will be available for you to write on your phones, fill out. So that's an awesome thing, and that makes it a lot easier for you guys. Any other medication things? Danya, anything you need to say that you think maybe we didn't cover? Oh, did I lose her? Oh, yeah, I think I lost her. Oh, looks like there's somebody in the waiting room. Oh, it's too late. It's too late anyway. We're already done. Okay, if you guys have no more questions, I just want to remind you that tomorrow is our Case Magic training. I think all of you have signed up for the individual classes we have. If you haven't, you need to talk with Elizabeth. It's really important that you guys attend one of the classes tomorrow so you'll know what's going on. Danya, you're back. I was just wondering if you had anything else medication-wise that you think that we need to cover for staff.
Just making sure that, if you get the visit summary, if you guys can please put that in your documentation, because if you have the visit summary, we don't see it. And then we could, from your summary in notes, we can add it into the system. But if you don't put it there, we don't see it, because we review your notes daily. So we need that information. You say, hey, we went to the doctor. Okay, well, what happened at the doctor? Kind of need to know what happened at the doctor. Blood pressure, weight, all that stuff. So if you guys can add that, that would be fantastic. It would help us out.
Okay. Could you actually send us a template of the doctor's the template?
It's going to be in the new system. When you guys get your training tomorrow, you'll be given your codes. In fact, I think the email went out for you to be able to have the code. So you'll be able to play around with that tomorrow. So after you receive your training tomorrow, you'll be able to go in and look right at that template. It's right there in Case Magic. Who was that asked for a copy of it though? I don't know who was speaking. Was that Cassandra?
That was Cassandra.
Okay. Cassandra. We can go ahead and send you one today if you want one, but for you know, just general, it'll be there tomorrow. It's there now, but you guys just don't know how to get there yet. So
Yeah, I'll just get it tomorrow. Thank you.
All right, no worry. Anything else? Any other medical issues that you're having with clients that you're not understanding? Anybody need to know how to do a blood sugar, that they don't know how to help a client test for their blood sugar? Or anybody who needs to have help with doing a blood pressure? Any of that stuff, we're available. So don't think that you're alone out there. There's a lot of help and a lot of resources now. Okay, well, we're going to cut you guys loose, and we will hope to see you tomorrow. And again, if you haven't registered for a class, make sure you contact Elizabeth today and sign up for one. I think we had to add a third class because the morning was so full. So I know. Donya's like, ah. Donya will be teaching the class.
Cindy, what time is the third class?
I do not know that. I don't know that they've decided that yet. I think they're trying to see how many, it'll be the same time, just a different day. It'll be
But I think aren't we going to be recording it too? So that way, if the people who can't make it in, they can see the class later.
We are, but you need to have a very good reason for not being there. It is a mandatory class. You can't just arbitrarily say, I'm not going to attend, I'll watch the video. You have to contact your case manager if there's something going on and let them know why you can't be there. Otherwise, we expect you to be there. It's that important. If you guys miss this and miss the opportunity to ask questions, you're going to be lost. I mean, this is really, really important. So if you can't make it, you need to let your case manager know so that we can make other arrangements. I don't know if we're just going to shoot that out or have you come in one-on-one. I don't know if all that's been decided yet, but we are recording it. But it's really important that you guys are there for your class because you're going to be lost and you're not going to know how to chart or anything that's going on. So, all right, kids, anything else? Any other questions? We're all done? Okay. See you guys tomorrow. Thank you, Roberta. I appreciate you coming.